Well, the quarterfinals of the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup are officially underway. The first legs were played this week, and the return legs will be played next week. The big question is who is going to be qualifying for the semi-finals. Clive Chaze is my name, and yes, we are coming to you straight from Kampala, Uganda. This is CK Sports. Just to appreciate everyone who does engage with our channel, especially those who do comment on our content, those who like and those who share. If you're watching us for the first time and you are yet to subscribe, all we are encouraging you is to click that subscription button so that our audience can grow. I won't be doing this alone. I am in a good company of Mr. Shafiq Chiyaga.
Hey, good morning, sir.
The one and only. Good morning. Just some greetings. People are watching you from different parts of the world.
It's a good thing.
So you might be saying good morning, and the people are watching you are in the evening part of the day. So, but how have you been, Shafiq?
Very good. Yeah, it's been a fair week so far. We've had obviously a lot of football action from the weekend to now, both locally and on the continent, and it's very, very interesting. I think we all want to enjoy football, especially at this stage of the season, because the stakes are even higher.
Exactly. Of course, the CAF Champions League, and I will also look at the CAF Confederations Cup, the semi-finals played this week on Tuesday. 4 games in the CAF Champions League, and I want to put you to task because I already know your answer. Outside Mamelodi Sundowns and Esperance, which other game caught your eye? Maybe that's where I will start from.
It's the game between MC Alger and forgetting who they were playing.
That
Ahly.
MC Alger were playing against Orlando Pirates.
Yes, Orlando Pirates. That's the game. Very interesting. I think Orlando Pirates just did a proper smash and grab job away. It's interesting that they are the only winners away from home. Obviously, in Africa, we know that not so many teams do go away from home and win a game of football. So it was very important, but also very disappointing for Algiers. I think they had probably the best performance of all the 4 teams
that were playing at home, or the
of all the 8 teams that were involved in the quarterfinals. Okay, I might have a bit of reservations for Sundowns, but they were very dominant. They were on top of the game, but eventually Nkota, with the only, arguably his first touch of the game, of the ball after being introduced, scoring what eventually.
But also the pressure with which he was under, the ability to control. First of all, he had a defender on him, another closing in, a goalkeeper closing in, and he still kept himself under composure to slot that ball home. Yeah,
I think he knew that with the pace he carries, if the moment the ball was played in behind, he knew he had the beating of the defender, and the defender knew that he was in trouble by then. So all he was worried about was the goalkeeper. If I can get to this ball before the goalkeeper, then I'll take the advantage eventually. And yeah, I think the defender realized that he can't beat him in a foot race. Tried to desperately to throw in a tackle, couldn't get to the ball, and Nkota eventually finishing with it.
The pre-match rituals, of course, Orlando Pirates get to the pitch. There's the official pitch inspection, usually by both teams and match officials. They all decide to get into one goal area and keep there for some time. Something that didn't go well with the officials of MC Alger's. And the moment they got out, these MC Alger's officials came with hot water and stuff like that, burning God knows what, because they were very uncomfortable. With the time, these guys just got themselves together, and they decided that we shall stand in this one goal.
Was it the goal they eventually scored in?
We need to check again. I'm not sure. But I mean, for me, the psychological touch or even the mind games that Orlando Pirates traveled with to Algeria, you could say that eventually it paid off, because psychologically, these guys were themselves just were already beaten.
Well, I don't know for a fact if that affected MC Alger's anyway.
The fact that they rebutted it with hot water and all these things.
Yeah, it's something. Such rituals are something that are very common and famous with African teams. Do they help the performance of the teams? I don't think. But as you've mentioned, it's
to an extent.
It's.
I'm speaking as a victim, as a high school victim.
Why? You've ever seen?
Story for another day, but I'm speaking as a high school victim. It does to an extent.
Those are interesting stories. If I'm involved in any of them, then I don't think it can affect me personally, at least psychologically or mentally. So for Pirates to go there and do it, probably they knew that the MC Alger's people will take notice of it, and then that sets what their plan was in motion, obviously. But I don't think indeed it really affected MC Alger, because apart from pyramids, they had the highest XG. They had an XG of 0.94. They created so many opportunities, had 13 shots from inside the box out of 22 in total. So they were all over.
Actually, 21 shots.
Yeah, 21 shots.
If you have 21 shots and only 5 of those are on target, Shafiq, then
yeah,
isn't that
because
wasteful?
Yeah, it's too wasteful, and I think that will be the disappointment for the coaching team. But
because Orlando Pirates had 1 shot on target, and
exactly.
it turned out to be the only goal they scored in the match.
But for the coaching team, I think they will have to go back, because Pirates also defended so resolutely. They had 7 blocks, of which some of them were very, very, very crucial blocks.
On top of defending 8 corners.
Yeah, on top of defending 8 corners. So MC Alger was ahead and on top of Pirates. How they managed to pull off that victory is very important. Obviously, it now gives them the advantage.
Exactly, that was my next question. Yes, they have that precious away goal from away goal. Is it advantage Pirates next week at the Orlando Stadium?
Of course it is, and obviously because they are in very fine form in the league. I think they've lost what? They've failed to win 5 of their previous 20 games.
Only 5.
Only 5. So they've been 2 draws and 2 defeats and 3 draws in there. So they're a team in form, and they'll have, now that they have the advantage, they'll be more confident at home. MC Alger, can they come in and pull off another smash and grab? I don't think so. The moment Pirates gets any sort of advantage, then you want to think that it's over for MC Alger, because and also the difference is there is no sort of history between these two teams.
Yeah,
it was only their first meeting in history. So there's nothing like, okay, if you look at history, MC Alger has done this over Pirates. So there's a lot of unknown in there. Pirates are playing at home. They know they did the job, and they will be very confident that they did it even defensively. Because if they had gone there and scored that 1 goal, but were on the receiving end and were very just lucky to go in and get the victory, then probably you might think that Alger has an advantage. But they did the job defensively. They were very resolute defensively and stopped all the advantage that Alger had at home.
Well, who'd you tip to advance? I would go with Orlando Pirates.
Me too. I'll go with Orlando Pirates, and I predict it will be a 2-0 victory for them at home.
Well, the other game that was of interest, the defending champions, Ahly, were playing at home against Al Hilal Omdurman. Every time I talk about this team, I remember that actually Jamal Salim, Uganda Cranes goalkeeper, once played for this team. Al Ahly were able to win the game 1-0. At home, you thought that because it is Al Ahly, probably they would be all over Al Hilal, but also them going just winning it by 1 goal, despite all the chances they created and all that, speaks volumes about this Al Hilal team that is coached by the way, Florent Ibenge, the Congolese who at one time won the CHAN tournament with DRC. That was in 2016, the tournament that was in Kigali, Rwanda. And you feel Al Ahly probably not going into the return leg with this a slim 1-0 1-0 victory, it might not be assurance that they'll sneak into the semifinals. You think Oman are likely to make it hard for them?
Yeah, they will, especially now that Ahly are going away from home. Omdurman will be confident in their chances that probably they can. But the disadvantage that they have is they don't have so many games locally. Yes, they are playing
Mauritania.
Mauritania.
They're on verge of winning the league, much as they won't be declared champions.
Yeah, of course, they've been so dominant there. That has helped. But then if you're playing against a side that currently they're the defending champions, they arguably are the best top three side in terms of form as well in the continent. That is tough. Al Ahly, we've seen them even come down here to Uganda and they get beat by KCCA 2-0. But at this stage of the season, they just have it within them to go anywhere in any part of Africa and get the job done. Now that is the only thing that they need to do. They need to they need to go to Sudan, just across the border, and get the job
No,
done.
actually no, because of the civil war,
The-
Al Hilal don't play games
at home.
At home. They've been playing at their games, their CAF games in Mauritania, where they do play the league from.
Yeah, so a bit of travel involved in there for Al Ahly. But judging by what they did on the day, Mohamed Hani eventually scoring the first goal. And when that goal arrived after, 11, 12 minutes, well, you thought Al Ahly might go ahead and have a very huge scoreline for themselves. But credit to Al Hilal, but also disappointment for Al Ahly because they failed to put away some of the chances which you think they should have done.
Yeah, by the way, when you look at the history of Al Ahly, especially in this very competition, it is very hard to believe that even at one time, they failed to make it into the group stages of the Champions League. I don't remember the year exactly, but when it happened, it was Al Hilal that actually knocked them out, denying them an opportunity to get into the group stages of the Champions League. That probably they'll bank on that history going into that return leg, denying them a chance to get into the semifinals. But we are talking about the best club on the continent, the most successful club. If I'm not mistaken, they have won 2 or 3 of these competitions. In the last 4 years, they have won it a record 12 times. So you cannot just write them off. And with that a slim 1-0 victory, I would still say advantage Al Ahly to advance to the semis.
The differentiating factor is that they'll have to travel to an unfamiliar territory.
They have done that all their years and they pick results.
Yeah, but Mauritania is not a country where they've played so many games. And now that in the league, Pyramids is putting on a front foot race, Al Ahly must keep tabs with them in that regard. So they do have a bit of conflicting interests at the moment. Mauritania, not so good for them because it's a tropical country, tropical climate, so that means they'll have to travel probably a couple of days earlier. Acclimatizing there, it's a challenge if you have 2-3 days turnaround from your previous game in the league. But yeah, they do have the advantage. You have to look at what they've done in this competition and give them the benefit of doubt that they'll do it. But if there is a shocker, if there could be a shocker in any of these ties, then that's the tie where you might expect a shocker for Al Ahly.
Well, the best result on the day was still in Cairo, Egypt. Pyramids are taking on FAR Rabat from Morocco and comfortably winning the game 4-0. You can say it is the only side that goes into the return leg with a little bit of breathing space
90%.
when you look at the manner in which they were able to do the job.
1.5 foot through to the semifinals. Pyramids is the most informed side of the continent now. If you go with what they've done in all competitions, they're undefeated in the last 20. They've suffered
That's some
only
impressive run.
they have suffered only 3 draws in there. So it's a side that's obviously doing so well, started very well. On the day, I think FAR Rabat, which a side which AC Villa doesn't want to know so much about because of.
Is it the same or it was FUS Rabat? I think it was FUS
Yeah, it was
Rabat.
FUS Rabat. Sorry about that. I tend to confuse them, but they started so poorly. 2 minutes in, Fiston Mayele. Many of the people in Tanzania will remember him, and I'm obviously down here because was he at one time linked to Vipers, or was he not?
There was a bit of reports linking him to Vipers before he crossed to
Before
Pyramids.
he crossed to Pyramids.
They were telling us he was going to represent Caesar, rather replace Caesar Manzoki.
But Fiston Mayele scoring after only 2 minutes. FAR Rabat just played themselves into trouble. The goalkeeper played a poor ball to his defender. Pyramids managed to pounce
Actually, they
on
were
it.
2-0 down as early as the 12th minute.
Yeah, 2-0 down as early.
Mayele brace.
Again, there was another lapse in defense, but credit to Fiston Mayele for the second goal because he had one of his classic finishes, just peeling off the defender and then running into the space and meeting the ball to finish it. And that he completed his brace. Then Ibrahim, forget the gentleman's name, Adel, something like that, made it 3-0. Another mistake from FAR Rabat, and that is something they don't want to see again. They should be thinking back that we just rolled the carpet for Pyramids to walk through into the semifinals, because now Pyramids will go there knowing that we only, even if we lose, if it's not 3-0, then we are through to the finals. So they can
Semi-finals, actually.
rather semi-finals. So they can come, they can go there with a bit of calmness. Just go there, play the 90 minutes, see them out, and you're through to the semi-finals.
Well, the game that was played earlier was actually in South Africa, Pretoria to be precise. 2016 champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, who have not been in the finals since, taking on Esperance, a team that knocked them out last season at the semi-final stage to get into the finals. Miguel Cardoso then was coaching Esperance. Now he is coaching Mamelodi Sundowns. And they were able to win the first leg at home in front of a full Loftusfield Stadium. 1-0, goal scored by Peter Shalulile. That must have been in the 54th minute. Mamelodi Sundowns has had several encounters with Esperance, but they have not won many. And where it has always mattered most, Esperance have always had the edge rather. But looks like Mamelodi Sundowns this time around maybe not. But first of all, the game itself, before we look at the events that happened after the game.
It was Sundowns just, while I was watching that game, I kept on thinking back, this is the level that African football has got to. Can any of our local teams here in Uganda match up to that level?
You want me to answer?
Yes.
No. Not now.
Because, well, I've seen some teams try and come onto the pitch locally here and do something similar to that. But how Sundowns played out those entire 90 minutes, it was so mesmerizing to watch. It was so beautiful
How they managed the game.
How they managed the game. How they controlled the game in every aspect. Possession, how they moved through the phases from build up through the middle to the final third, how they kept their attacks on, even when it looked like, okay, the cross has been dealt with, how then do they relaunch the attack, how they recycled the possession. It was so good to watch.
How they positioned themselves when they didn't have the ball.
Mokoena, wow. He had a very good game in there. I think was it Ribeiro as well. Their starman off the right was so dominant. Eventually, Peter Shahulile, who I don't think is having a very good season, personally, by his standards.
Delivering the goods.
Yeah, delivering the goods in what was incidentally, well, for all the things I've talked about, what they did in possession, I still think they didn't create so many inroads.
Yeah, true.
And trouble for Esperance. But when they did eventually and created that big opportunity for Shaholide, it's important that he was there on the back of the net and stuck it into the back of the net. Sorry. So Sundowns now have the advantage. You've mentioned there something very important.
It was actually his third goal of the Champions League.
And sixth in 22 games for Sundowns this season. So you've just mentioned something that might be of importance to this tie. That is the coach, Cardoso. He did the goods for Esperance, and now he's trying to rewrite what he did last year with Esperance, with Sundowns this season. Incidentally, it's also interesting to know that it's only Sundowns' second victory over Esperance in 8 games. The last time they defeated Esperance was in 2000. So that's
was that in the group stages?
Yeah, it was in the group stages of the Champions League. So that's been such a long time. But now they have the opportunity, and they should not set on what they did here. If they go away from home and put on the same performance, then I think
Tunisia.
Then I think they can. They will be through to the semifinals, but it will not be easy. It will not be easy.
It won't
because I still think for all the dominance they had, 80% of possession. Esperance just came there and with the target of let us not concede so much.
You thought that was the target, by
yes. They just came and sat back. They didn't offer a lot of threat going forward.
First of all, personally, I thought it was advantage Mamelodi Sundowns. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff. We all know how our friends from the north suffer in the scorching sun. So I thought it was a 3 p.m. kickoff in South Africa for obvious reasons. The game was a free entrance for fans. Of course, you needed to have a ticket that was free. Of course, by the time the game started, the stadium wasn't full to capacity, but because people had to work anyway. But fans started trickling in. And by the second half, you could say Loftus Field was actually 3/4 full. And you thought that atmosphere also, in a way, worked against Esperance. But for me, the fact that Mamelodi Sundowns could only manage 1 goal, you think that probably it doesn't entirely give them that advantage when they are going to Tunis.
Yeah, especially as we've noted there that Esperance didn't come to try and score a goal or win the game. They came there. Let us not okay, we might lose. We might lose, but let's not give them such a big advantage that we can't overturn at home. And at home, you'll expect a completely different approach from Esperance. Probably they'll have to throw in more forwards. They'll have to be on the front foot, obviously, now that they're chasing the tie. And can Sundowns reply? Because I don't think Ronwen Williams could have left the pitch and no one noticed that he was not in goal. That's how easy it was for him. Didn't face a shot on target. But in Tunisia, it will be very, very difficult. He'll have to do a couple of saves.
A lot of work. Shafiq, the events after the game, of course, there were a handful of Esperance fans.
There were.
And
I was
several
impressed.
Mamelodi Sundowns fans. But the events of course, their investigations are still going on. We are told CAF and Mamelodi Sundowns are waiting for the report of the match commissioner. But the fracas, the violence that happened after the game. I mean, you are trying to promote and sell African football to a global audience. Surely those are not scenes that were beautiful to watch, especially people who are watching on TV all over the world.
Yeah, not. And I think World Cup has done a good job in terms of trying to make sure that clubs all over Africa understand what it means to play in the Champions League and the prestige that comes with it. For the fans, I don't think they've really appreciated the tournament and how good it can be for African football. And it was shameful, so shameful for the fans. Yes, there were a couple of good gestures. I think I saw a photo of a Sundowns fan helping.
The guy's name has actually escaped my mind because they also hosted him on their weekly podcast, the pitch side. He reached out to help this Esperance fan was holding onto the rails. And actually, the Esperance fan thought that the Sundowns fan had come to finish him off. And the first things he tells him, please don't finish me off. I have 3 children back home.
Wow.
And this Sundowns fan actually tells him, no, I'm here to help you. I'm here to save your life. And eventually, pulls him over, saves his life. And before you know it, both of them are actually getting the beating from some fans who thought that the gesture he was offering, he shouldn't have offered.
Have offered
But
it.
you thought, for me, it was a very, very, very
It was
noble
very,
gesture
it
from
was
the
very bad.
Sundowns
But
fan.
I don't want to put this on Sundowns, but their gesture of allowing free entrance. I think there should be a reason why entrance to such games
You
is
want to create that atmosphere.
yes,
It is very important.
they wanted to create it, but then it backfired
No, but
in
it's
a
not the
sense.
first time they're offering. It is not necessarily free entrance. You must get a ticket.
Of
And of
course.
course, the ticket is free. And the crowd control is usually the same as if you had bought your ticket.
Your ticket, yeah.
Mostly every time they are playing games that they badly want to win,
They do
entrance
it.
is for free, especially on the continent.
Yeah, they do it, but then it allows a couple of bad elements to trickle through. And every time that happens, then
Shafiq, the bad
you'll
elements
expect-
can still buy the tickets. But for me, the
still,
human
but
gesture from some of the fans who decided that what is
was-
happening shouldn't be happening, and
it was very
we-
good.
we need-
It
we
was
need
very
save
good of
lives.
the fans, and credit to them, huge credit to them. They did help so much, because if then the whole Sundowns fans turn against the Esperance fans, the crowd control and security might be overwhelmed. But if there is help as well, support coming in from the fans, then it helps the situation in one way or the other. But then Sundowns fans, South Africans, we love Africa. We love our South African teams. We love African football. I think the Champions League is growing. This is not the kind of atmosphere you want.
We need to first wait and establish what exactly provoked the sins that happened on the day. They are regrettable,
Yeah, of
but
course.
we shouldn't be so quick to judge.
Yeah, but again, Clive, for anyone who comes onto the pitch, you should know that it's not a matter of life and death. It's a matter of 90 minutes. Let's enjoy the game. The 12 players and the coaches will give us what we want. And at the end of the day, we become brothers. That's what football is all about.
Who advances in the return leg?
It will be hard. It will be tough. Esperance will give Sundowns a bit of push. Can Cardoso pull off another of his incredible masterclasses in terms of approach? Will be the big question. But I would fancy Sundowns to progress.
For obvious reasons.
Because yes, obviously, because I know it's going to be Pirates progressing. Then Sundowns.
I'm actually looking to a Sundowns Pirates final, because they're on the different half of the road.
That will be very interesting. But also, if you've watched a bit of, obviously we know African history and we know how much the South and the North have always been at opposite ends. So it will be very interesting what South Africa can offer, because in this part of the world, they are the best footballing nation. And at the other part of Africa, it's Egypt that's the best footballing nation. See if we can get two Egyptian teams in the semifinals. In my opinion, of course. So if we can get two Egyptian teams in the final, two South African teams in the final, there's a cross there, a bridge there, and we wait and see who will progress.
Of course, 3 of those 4 teams will also be representing Africa in the FIFA Club World Cup. You're talking about Mamelodi Sundowns, you're talking about Esperance and Ahly. The 4th one, which is Wydad Casablanca, is the only one not actually involved in accordion football. So you think that probably this is so good preparations for them. And in the event that we get a new champion at the end of it all, outside Ahly, the person who gets to win this competition automatically qualifies for the 2029 FIFA Club World Cup, because winning your continental competition is one of the requirements for you to qualify for the next edition of the competition. But Shafiq, quickly, as I will wind up, we also had the first semifinals, or rather quarterfinal legs of the CAF Conference Cup. Stellenbosch from South Africa, playing at this stage for the first time, did manage to play to a barren draw with Zamalek. You had Al Masry taking on Simba, the only representative from the CECAFA. Though I want to believe Al Hilal Oman is also a CECAFA representative.
Yeah.
Al Masry won the tie 2-0. Then you have Barkani going to Ivory Coast and defeating Asec Mimosa 1-0. And of course, Constantine, Vipers fans will remember these ones, playing against MC Alger. And the game ended in a 1-1 draw. You wrap up and probably who you think will advance.
I'll have to focus on Simba because
That is where our interest should
yes,
be.
our interest should be in Simba, and it was a very
I'm still shocked
bad day.
Yanga failed to qualify for the quarterfinals in the Champions League, man.
I think they started well.
They didn't actually. They lost their opening game at home against Ahly.
Al Hilal, sorry. Did they collect 4 points from their next two games?
Their first point was against TP Mazembe away from home. Must have been the 1-1 draw. They really started on a wrong foot, and by the time they probably found their footing, it was already too late.
But for Simba, bad news for us.
You think so?
Bad news for us, Clive. Can they turn that 2-0? Because 2-0
can happen.
2-0 is not. It's not.
It can be 2-0 at halftime at the Benjamin Mkapa.
Then go Simba. But as it stands now, it's pretty tough. It's a pretty tough predicament for them going forward. They'll have to dig even deeper, and I'm sure their opponents will now firstly have chances. They'll just come. There's something I noticed with
as we wind out,
and it's something that I think the fact that Uganda has played so many teams from the Maghreb region, fans we've kind of known this trend, and we've seen it happen a couple of times. Do you know that Egypt, Al Ahly, had 22 fouls against Al Hilal?
22 fouls.
And they only received 3 yellow cards for that.
How do you explain that?
Al Hilal had only 7 fouls.
I've seen some people going at the referee for not bringing his A game in that game.
Yes. They had 22 fouls. Al Hilal only had 7 fouls. And Al Ahly got only 3 yellow cards. It's hard to explain. But we very well know that once, at least for down here in Uganda, we know that once a team from North Africa gets that advantage over you, they'll come and...
I don't believe those
Unless they have the ball, unless they're the ones starting attack, initiating the attack.
We traveled there and scored 3 goals.
Yes.
Much as it ended.
If they know that it's not going to be hard, yes, if they know that it's not going to be hard, then they'll allow the game to flow. But if they know that this is going to be a hard game, then they'll create those stops in the game for you not to build momentum.
Like they'll keep on creating a stop.
Exactly. So, and I think, I don't know, this is still my opinion, layman opinion. Al Ahly, I think, came with that. Create those little niggles, play a bit of dark arts, and you can go through. So I think
we need to get out of here.
Simba should prepare for that.
We need to get out of here. Of course, those are some of our thoughts on the first leg quarterfinals of the Champions League. We didn't really delve a lot into the Confederations Cup. We'll be back next week when the return legs are done. Of course, we'll share our opinions, but also try to project into the semifinals of those 2 competitions. Also, to remind you, we did catch up with the State Minister for Sports, Honorable Peter Ogwang. We do have an exclusive with him. We shall be uploading it very soon. He talks about so many things. The readiness of the CHAN for Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. Of course, it is positive news from the Honorable Minister. He gives us an update on the Hoima City Stadium. He gives us an update on Mandela National Stadium, the renovations that will be happening ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations. He does not give the exact dates when the Hoima City Stadium will be ready, but from the discussions, you can tell that the stadium will be ready
something cooking
as soon as possible. We discuss so many things. And of course, that interview, we shall also be uploading it. Clive Chaze is my name with Shafiq Chiaga. Yes, catch us again in the next episode.